follow Simon Payne Jones. So we'll get to Sonic soon. How's it going, everyone? What I wanted to do was, I mean, I've been working on Eda a little bit this morning, so just wanted to finish this off. I'm testing something at the moment where I'm trying to get revised hackage versions going. So I had like I've got this library called Halves. And it had a bad upper bound on lens this morning, so I'm just trying to increase that. So it had 4.17 and now it's 4.18 because I've revised it. So on Hackage you can actually edit the package information straight through Hackage, and what it does is it doesn't create like a new version, it just changes the Cabal file. So I am, so you can see here revision 1. So you can see that I've changed the bounds from 4.17 to 4.18. So what I'm trying to do is, I guess, make it so that it downloads this revision, because you have to download this Cabal file separately. So you can see the link there is 0.cabal, and here is 1.cabal. So I'm trying to just make it so that it downloads the revision and compiles using that, instead of using the one in the actual package. No, the italics in the description were not intentional. I meant to be, it was splitting / combining, but of course, that's been interpreted as markup. Alright, let me open Emacs. Cool. So what I've done is I've just extended my Nix so that we have this. So it just downloads it tries to download the revision. This is basically copy pasted from the generic builder in Nix packages. So I'm basically copy and pasting parts of Nix packages and making them work for Eda. And so you can see it's compiling now, and it seems to be compiling pretty well. So I'm gonna hopefully have Lens available and my Halves package available in, well, what I'm basically testing out now at the moment is the equivalent of GHCI but for Eda. So the Eda interactive evaluator, like the REPL for Eda. So this will take a little while to compile because it's lens based, and what I did is because I changed to download these revisions, I had to change the code down here a little bit, and so that invalidated all of the Nix expressions, so now it's recompiling basically everything. That's okay, it only takes, I don't know, 10 minutes. I've been running it for about 5, so it shouldn't take too long. But yeah, it would be really cool when I get to show you what I've got working. I just got the while Comet was streaming, I just had to go at getting the Eda compiler to have its REPL working, so that is working now. One thing I have to do is so there's this thing called, so here's all one Nix code, and in configuration Eda is all like the Eda specific overrides. So I've got things here which is like we have to use a specific version of MTL for some reason. In recent version of Nix packages, they're not actually just generating MTL, I guess, because that got packaged inside of GHC now, and so you have to specify which version. There's a couple of things I have to override, like GHC boot template Haskell, don't need that, so I can just set it to null. Cabal don't need that, so I just can set it to null. And Unix doesn't exist, so I can set that to null as well. So basically any packages that need any of these things, I'll just set them to null, and hopefully we've got hopefully it'll have some logic in there to kind of not actually need them. Well, there's some things here as well, like we need to add semigroups onto things, because the way that Nix packages is generated uses GHC8 to generate all the hackage, all the hackage packages, and so I have to add semigroups on so that it can compile with Eda, which is a fork of 7.10. Yeah, so there's just some things there, but then there's also all these packages, which is like base, integer, and then it builds up to like Eda REPL, and all these Eda specific packages. Yep, okay, cool. I think that explains pretty much everything that's going on. How's the Eda compile time compared to GHC? Slower. It is slower. Yeah, it is a little bit slower. I mean, it feels slower to me. I've not done any benchmarks or anything, but it does feel slower. I mean, just looking at this, it kind of seems slow, but... But it's okay, we've got Nix, so we'll cache everything and never have to compile this thing. Well, eventually, when I get things working properly, we'll cache it and hopefully never have to compile everything from scratch again. How's it going, Hustler? Yeah, it'd be cool to do some benchmarks and compare how long it takes to compile, for example, Lens in Eda and also in GHC. It'll be a good comparison. Here we go. We're up to, yes, we just did Lens. So you can see that we just finished Lens. And now we're up to Halves, which is my library. And so hopefully this is I think this is the only one, what I asked for. I asked for Eda REPL with Halves. So here we go. Cool. So we got the Eda REPL, and so you can see I'm here. So this works. I should be able to import. How's it going, Soding? What is it? Data.halves, right? There we go. I've never actually really used the Eda REPL before, so this is basically the first thing. So let's put it at 8. Word, oh no, 64. Okay, so we've got an exception. Class not found exception. Control lens fold. Interesting. Okay, so I've got the REPL running, and it can run simple things. Okay, so it looks like some things work. It just doesn't. Yeah, it's not loading the. It's not getting Lens in there. I am proud of my Eda work. It is pretty good, actually. I am actually pretty. I mean, obviously there's this bug here. Obviously I've failed at this part, but it does work. It is pretty cool that I can. So if I didn't use that, that's just a REPL problem. So I mean, I can do this, and so this gives me halves, my halves package, and so I can actually just create a file and start working with it. But yeah, my REPL's a bit broken. So it looks like it doesn't like. What doesn't it like? If I come over here and I look at EdaServe, it's got these packages built into it. So maybe all of these work. Let me see if I've got if array works. That works too. So it's something around Lens. Yeah, there's something about Lens that it's not. I wonder if what else can I look at? Do I have anything in here that's not a Lens? I think everything in there. Yeah, everything in my library is a Lens. How about we do something with profunctors? Oh, that's unstrong. LMAP. Gotta do the bro. Okay, and we're at 10. Yeah, okay. So basically, all the libraries that I've that I'm trying to include on the REPL aren't being found for some reason. Something about not being able to find the libraries. So I'll have to debug that. I'm not sure what is. Maybe what I should be doing is printing out what the class path is. If I was able to print out what the class path is, then I could see if the jars are on the path or not. If I come over here and I do Eda package list, you can see the packages are available. So they are actually in the package conf, but I guess they're not included on the class path or something. REPL knows about the signatures, doesn't have the code loaded. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the weird thing. It doesn't have the jars in the class path, I think. Let me just make sure also, let's make sure that this, whoops, is on the, is actually a thing inside of the jar. So if I do an eater package, so I should see a jar in here. No. Oh, because it goes into the it goes into a lib directory, doesn't it? Here we go. So this is a jar. So that's what it looks like, and I should grep it for that. Okay, yeah, it definitely exists. So you can see it actually is there. So that does exist. It's just not on the. Yeah, the signatures are stored in what are the signatures stored in? In the HI file. What's the way to display a HI file? Eater dump. What is it? Dump HI, is it? No. Yeah, it's normal Haskell HI files. I'm trying to remember how you're meant to dump these. There is a command to dump them, I just can't ever remember them. Show iFace, there we go, show iFace. So I should be able to say eater show iFace. There we go. So these are all the signatures here. So eater is definitely loading up this signature file and, you know, reading everything that it exports and reading all the identifiers that are available. So all of these things. It just isn't. It just doesn't have the class on the I guess the class on the class path. So it's not including this jar for some reason. Not including that jar. I'm guessing there's kind of a default place for jars to be located, and I'm putting them all in the Nix store. And so I'm guessing what's happening is that the eater REPL just doesn't know about. It just doesn't actually read what the package. So if I do a describe, so you can see here, it's got library directories, and so it should be including all the jars from here. And what I think it's doing is eater REPL might just be loading from like eater, whatever version is, lib or something. I don't know, wherever the packages by default are. Here we go. It's probably it must not be there though. It must not be there because it is reading all the package confs, like it is successfully loading the package conf, so maybe by default it's only got that. Although it does actually have this as well, it's got this hash at the end, so it should be, if it's loading up, if it is actually reading library directories, it should be using it. So I don't know what my problem is. I think it's going to take quite a bit of debugging to figure out. It just doesn't. It just doesn't find it. I think I'll have to. What I'll do is I'll have to Java problems in my Haskell. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, this class path stuff is kind of like the stuff that you don't want to deal with. We've brought it back in Haskell. That sucks. Yeah. So I'll probably, what I'll have to do is probably like figure out a way to dump out this this class path. What I can probably do is what can I do? Cool. So now I can do. What do I want to do? Cool. Okay, so I can reproduce it like that, and what I want to probably do is I'm gonna S-trace it. That's a lot of output. I should have probably only execve. There we go. Oh, whoops, I put that in the wrong place. Okay, so it just runs java/jar and then the jar, so that's the iter serve jar, so that won't tell me anything, that won't tell me what the class path is. So how is it setting the class path? We'll have a quick look at this. So I think iter serve is where all like the main logic for the REPL is. Oh, there we go, REPL class loader, I just saw a file. REPL class loader. Okay. Below class. I mean, this is, yeah, add URLs. Low classes. I guess this is where, I need to figure out where, what the paths get set to. Dynamic class path. And this module class path. Yep, this is going to be a lot of, I think, printf debugging in the end. I think. Wonder if I can bring this inside of the REPL, like bring in these functions. What's the package? It's the module. It's iter serve. No, I don't have it available. Wonder if I can do this. I don't think there's a print class path though, is there? There's reset classes. That's not available either. Maybe it's not exported. Ah, it's not exported, it's only executable. Okay. Alright then. Yep, so I think that's going to be me printing like the class path. I'm probably going to modify the Java code. It's probably the easier place to modify things. Modify the, was it REPL class loader.java. Whenever this gets added to, print it out. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. That'll probably do, I guess. Oh, did I miss a semicolon? Thank you. Well, probably missed all of them, yeah. Thank you. That's a bit of a pain to compile. Maybe not. is it, libraries. So here we go, I've just overridden my next code with with the etaserv that I've written. Except I got the path wrong. I thought it was in there. No, there we go, it's just in the top level. It's not under libraries. So hopefully this will give me, I don't want that. I want profunctors. So this should only have to recompile etaserv, I think. Yeah, which does take a couple minutes, I think. Especially since it's compiled with, if you look here, the configure flags are enable uberjar mode. The etaserv needs to be, because you need to, the eta will run it with this command. It will run it with java jar, and then whatever the etaserv.jar. So we'll only run it with that. So the class path is empty. So you need to make it into uberjar. Which is cool. It's easy to do because Edless, which is the eta's version of Cabal, has just this flag, enable uberjar mode. So you can just compile it into a single jar that you can execute with java/jar. There we go. Okay, so let's run this. So hopefully we should see some output to the console. Nope, it's not like that. Maybe my clone of Eta is a bit old or something. August 9th. No, it's not very old. It's not old. Although, what am I using for Eta? I'm using master as of a while ago. Oh, thanks for the follow. Oh, I'm looking for default. That's what I want. Is it? Oh no, it's not default. It is this default. There you go. So I should be using it from this revision. If this doesn't work, then I don't know what. No, that didn't change anything. So I don't know, yeah, I don't know, now it's hanging whenever I try and open up the REPL. That's not great. Maybe, maybe standard out is used for a protocol or something. That could be it. Alright. Failed to pass unknown character for constructor remaining. Yeah, okay, yeah, I think it's using standard out to communicate with it. So maybe if I change this to standard error, that'll make it work easy. Is that how you do error? Standard error in Java? I can't even remember how to do that. So hopefully we can print a standard error. Hopefully it's not using that for communication either. I was thinking, so someone's been, well, a couple of people have been asking me to go through Code Wars and go through some Code Wars exercises. Would anybody else be interested in that? I've had like maybe 2 people ask for me to go through some Code Wars things. And so I had a look. I actually had to go at a couple of Code Wars things. And there's a couple of ones that are pretty good. And so I created this little list of things that I think would be okay. I think I've already had a look at that one, and that one actually is not very good. But the rest of them might be okay. Like this one might be alright. Scott encoding. Is anyone interested in Scott encoding? There's things here like to make a little compiler. I don't know how long that would take. Piano numbers. Would there be any interest in me going through any of these exercises? I mean, they'd probably take a stream for me to get through most of them. Or would people prefer me to keep working on Sonic instead of doing that. Here we go. So that actually worked. I was able to get. Okay, but the standard output, the standard error is not actually going anywhere. So that's annoying. That's annoying. Or it's not loading any jars at all. That's actually a good point, isn't it? That is a good point. It's not printing, or, yeah. That is a good point. Just so something in the static block? Yeah, that's a good point actually. I'll just do that. That's a good point. Oh yeah, there we go. We already got a static block. Thank you. Cool. That's easy. Thank you. You are seeing Java. I'm writing Java. This is now a Java. I gave up on Haskell. Haskell was not very practical. It wasn't real world, so I gave up on Haskell. Decided to go down in the trenches and do some Java instead. Had to give up my what is it, type language, Fantasyland. Exactly. Alright, hopefully this will print out something. I have a feeling that the standard error is just not even getting attached. Yeah, it's just not even getting attached. Cool. Yeah, actually, because we could actually see that because if you look up here, we had a it was actually printing out something. We knew that because it was I don't know, before we saw, yeah, here we go. We saw this, which is like, that is one of the paths that it's getting added on. So so we did know that that it was printing out something, just not to the right place. So I mean, like, how can I get something useful to get attached there when I can attach a debugger? Or I can write to a file. It's tedious to write to a file though in Java, but maybe we should do that. Yeah. Is it private, static, public? Private, I don't think it matters. I think you can do either one. And how do we write to a file from that? You need to do a print writer. Is that what we want? Yeah, we'll do a print writer. Oh, you can actually just pass the file name in there. Okay, you don't have to make a new file. Is there a logger lib that it includes? Logger for J? I doubt. No, there's no log for J. Yeah, there's no log for J. SLF4J. Oh, don't even. Who knows? Who knows anymore? SLF4J, log4j. Who knows? Okay, this should. My Java compiler in my head looks like this. This says that this should work. I think it should compile. No, I was wrong. Final found exception must be caught or declared to be thrown. I can't catch it in a static initializer, can I? So I have to do... I can do this. My type checker worked in my head, but the exception system didn't work in my head. I can do that, right? I'll just ignore it, who cares? Yeah, we're doing Java now. I gave up on Haskell. We're doing the pragmatic choice of doing print writers and final found exceptions. That won't work in a static init. I'm sure I can try and catch in a static init. You probably know more Java than I do. I am trying to build a REPL for Eda. I mean, so there's already a REPL for Eda. I'm just trying to figure out why my next version of it won't work. I'm just trying to debug class loader issues, which is, you know, the fun of Java. The fun of Java with print writers, find not found exceptions, and class path issues. It's gonna be a good stream. Oh, this is so useless. This language. Come on. String builder and equals. Yeah, we need some more of that. Can I remove Haskell from the title? We will get around to Haskell. We will. This will be temporary. I probably should change it from Sonic for now, though. I will do that. I will actually change it from Sonic for now. Where is that? I don't even know how to do that. Oh, here we go. Eda and Nix. There we go. I've updated the title. Yeah, it's infrastructure for Haskell and JVM. Yeah. Okay, that compiled. Okay, cool. So we should have a log file now at what is it? Okay, that's empty. Really? It's empty? It's empty. It is empty. I'm going to add another print line to the static initializer just to make sure that we are actually printing out. Yeah. Okay, maybe there. I mean, what I don't understand though was that it was saying before that it was getting like a jar on the thing and it said it couldn't parse it because it was actually, you know, it's communicating to Eda serve. The Eda interactive thing is. Oh, whoops! What am I doing now? It's communicating over standard out, so we actually saw before when I was printing out to standard out that the jar wasn't being understood. It wasn't being able to be parsed. So it was printing out something. for standard out. But that is empty. Did I replace the print line calls? I think I did. Oh, are you serious? Flush for the print writer. Oh, yeah. Is that a thing? Otherwise I have to close. So I have to set true. Creates a print writer without automatic flushing, which is what I used. Oh. So I need to set auto flush. How do I do? I can just call .flush each time, right? I'll just call flush each time. Alright, thank you. Thank you. There we go. Now I have to give it a file output stream, exactly. So I'm just going to call flush each time. Yeah. Pragmatic. These are some pragmatic tools we've got. Alright, let's try it again. Yes, the Eater is a shell script that wraps around, so I don't think it's a shell script, but yes, it is a wrapper around Java jar invoke. No, it doesn't define the class path. What it does is it just calls, it just does Java jar eater serve.jar. And then it communicates over standard out, so it attaches like standard out and standard in. And so it communicates over that. So, no, it doesn't, that doesn't set the class path. What I think is happening is that when you communicate, so it's so it is a wrapper, and so I think when you do like module whatever, then the wrapper is kind of figuring out what jar to add, and then it says, hey, eater serve. So then it communicates to eater serve.jar and says, hey, please put in, you know, x.jar. And so it doesn't define the class path, but it does tell this script. I'm guessing this is how it works. I'm not actually sure. Okay, there we go. We are getting output now. Here we go. We've got all these jars. And so there's no profunctor, right? No profunctor. Okay, no profunctor yet. No profunctor. There we go. So that's the problem. So there's no profunctor coming in. It's never telling this thing to add profunctor. So it does init, add URLs, add URLs, add URLs, and then it doesn't ever tell it to add profunctor. So when I do this module, add profunctor, it includes it, but it doesn't actually send eater serve the command to add the class, add the jar to the class path. Okay, so that's useful. So what do we need to do now to figure out how to refine this a bit further? I guess find out where that's used and figure out where. So it was add URLs, wasn't it? Which is imported as add dynamic class path. Yeah, so this is. Okay, so there's this library over here called eater REPL. Thank you for that follow. So add dynamic class path. Here we go. So that's put message. So I need to figure out where this add. Here we go. Okay, so it should be here. So this is the eater REPL. So add dynamic class path. Now, where's this one used? Linker, is it? Probably in linker. Oh, but this is in really init dynamic linker. Yeah. Unless this is called every time we import something. I mean, the problem is that, there probably is a problem here where it's like meant to be including everything on the class path. What it does is it, because all my Nix files are all in different Nixstore directories, it's not finding them. So I reckon, like, usually all the jars usually go in something like this. So I don't have any atlas directory anymore because I'm doing it all Nix, but it would usually go in something like this. So you can see here's all the jars available. So maybe like there's a weird thing where like atlas just includes all of this. Although it does actually support the atlas switched over from using the Cabal's, you know, install and build and whatever to using Cabal's new build and new install and everything, which I think puts everything in its own directory. And so if it works with that, it should work with my Nix stuff actually. So I can't really blame that. Yeah. I guess what I'll need to do later on is probably put some print lines in this code so I can print out what the dynamic linker is actually doing. Wonder if the REPL's actually got like a verbose mode or something. Yeah, I'm trying to get the EDA REPL to work in Nix, exactly. Yeah, that doesn't really help. It does say here, oh, here we go. This is interesting. Wired in package. Nice one, zip it. Yeah, so it says wired in packaging, so all those seem to be included. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to give up on this for a while. I think we did some useful debugging, but I'm gonna have to put a heap more print lines in what EDA REPL is doing, and then try and figure out why it's not even calling EDA serve with the dynamic class path message. So you can see here, like, this is the message that it's meant to be sending across, add dynamic class path, and it's just not even. It seems to me that it's not even sending the messages over. So there's actually like this driver here, this compiler EDA REPL driver, which is not actually sending the right message to the EDA serve, and so EDA serve seems to be doing the right thing. It's including everything on the class path, but it's not being told what to add onto the class path. And so I'm gonna have to put some print lines in here and figure out why the EDA REPL isn't passing in this flag, and why it does otherwise, because it seems to, like, the EDA REPL seems to work outside of Nix. When it's in Nix, it doesn't work. So I'm gonna have to figure out what is different between inside of Nix and outside of Nix. Cool. All right, I'm gonna give up on that. I'm gonna go back and see if there's anything I need to commit in my EDA Nix stuff. There is. So this is the code to use the revisions, like I was saying before. So I've updated this with a new revision. Where's the revisions? Here we go. So I've updated this with a new revision, and so I need to have this logic in here so it actually downloads this version of Cabal instead of this version. Cool, that's being pushed. Oh, that's not good. That's not the way it should work. Let's try again. Really? Alright, I'll commit it. Oh, here we go. I'm committing outside of this window. Sorry, Emacs is doing something weird there. There we go. It's pushed. Cool. Alright, let's give up on Eda and Nix for a second. Well, I do have it working. I mean, like, if you didn't use the REPL, it actually works pretty well. So, for example, I've got my halves. So what I did is I did a compile to Nix halves. So you can see here I've got like a halves.nix file, and this is just my definition of halves, and so then I can do a p.call package halves.nix. And so this will compile my halves.nix library and make it available with Eda. Oh, I don't want that Eda served. Let me just stash that commit. I'll stash that change. There we go. So I just want to show what it looks like. So because I do have it working. So I've got this dollar.halves library that I've written. And it's up on Hackage, and you can use it. And so we should be able to print. Yes, I do intend to push it into Nix. To Nix packages at some point. When I get it working a bit better, a bit more stable, I will definitely do that. So, Word. So here we go, this is compiling. So I literally just got a Eda compiler with my halves library. Now I'm running Eda main. I've written some code that depends on my halves library. You can see it's not the fastest. GHC this will probably be done by now, but in Eda it takes a little bit longer. I don't know how long it takes, maybe 30 seconds or something. Maybe a little bit longer. Actually, I think what it's doing is it's even though I've compiled lens before, I think it's like it's loading up a lot of lens and kind of doing some optimizations. So that might take a while. What I should do is probably print out the dump the STG. Anyway, I've got a jar, so I can say java jar run main dot jar, and there you go. How awesome is that? Eda compile time will be the Scala compile time. It's not great. The Eda compile time is not great, but this is awesome. This is absolutely amazing that I can write lens code. I can include whatever library I want, use Nix, and then do a Java jar and get a jar as the output. Like that is, I'm super impressed by how good Eda is. And if you look on Twitter and you go to the Eda Lang account, actually I think it was Jacinta that actually posted it. Go away. Not this one. Here we go. How cool is this? You might not be able to see it very well. This is so cool. Atlas install PureScript. Atlas install PureScript. Right? It compiled PureScript. So this is PureScript compiler running on the JVM, and so you can run PureScript compile, and it will actually compile JavaScript code from the JVM. That is amazing. That is so cool. That is so good. So this is the PureScript compiler in Java. So good. That's so impressive. Like, I mean, Eda's getting very stable. I mean, if it can compile the PureScript compiler, it's amazing. And I mean, it can do lens. Like, I mean, you got lens on the JVM, you're winning. That's it. Like, I mean, Scala can't even come close to what lens does. So yeah, you're winning. yes, soon. Yeah, that's the next step. They want the Eda compiler. They actually said that in the tweet. I think they said something like, "Next goal is to involve Eda with Eda." Yeah, that'd be super cool. Super cool. That's kind of like a sign of stability, I think. If you can compile, I don't know, if you compile PureScript with Eda, that's good enough, I reckon. But I mean, if they can go one step further and compile Eda with Eda, that's, yeah, it's showing stability, I think. Alright, so let's stop working on Nix packages and Eda and things, and let's go